Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal, and one of the biggest catch-up components coming out as part of the 11.2.5 update, which is arriving so soon, is Turbo Boost, which was a great event that was launched initially during Season 2 of War Within that allowed players a huge opportunity to catch up on their mains and their ults, and they're bringing this catch-up element back for Season 3. It is a fresh opportunity for you to finish out gearing your main with some of the best gear available, finding even more ult-friendly ways to catch up all of your ults without any gear time gated. However, it looks like Season 3's Turbo Boost is going to be a little weird this time around. It looks like they'll be releasing it almost in phases, as a portion of the Turbo Boost will be made available looks like immediately, but then a huge swath of the good quality of life updates are apparently going to be launching later down the line. And if you're one of the players that is coming back for Season 3 to get a character caught up ahead of the Midnight expansion, it may actually be in your interest to not immediately rush back in as soon as 11.2.5 launches because of this weird scheduling change that they've done for the season, which I wanted to go over in great detail, exactly what is going to be made available and when as part of the Turbo Boost update. As always, if you guys want to keep up with regular updates regarding War Within, potentially new content such as Legion Remix, or maybe even Midnight Alpha, be sure to follow the channel and subscribe. But otherwise, let's dive right in. So Turbo Boost finally got some new updates with Blizzard clearing out exactly what's happening with Turbo Boost, although it's a little bit surprising and awkward how they're kind of like separating some of the different aspects of this, because there's apparently going to be a part 1 of Turbo Boost that'll go live as soon as 11.2.5 comes out, and then another part that will go live later down the line. So I wanted to go over exactly all what parts are going to be available when. Turbo Boost from the release get-go, part 1 of the launch of 11.2.5 is going to release an upgrade to Hero Track and Mythic Track gear for all of our characters. So all of these different items that we'll be able to obtain, normally like Mythic Track and Hero Track gear is capped out at 6 out of 6 Mythic ranking. You will actually be able to take it up by 2 extra notches, so the max ranks that you'll be able to upgrade Hero and Mythic items will be up to 8, which will increase higher item level for Hero Track gear, but I'm not 100% sure what item level that's supposed to be. But for Mythic item level, I do know, because on the other server I was able to test it, that item level is going to be 730 item level instead. So the cap for some of the best gear out there is going to be that of the fully upgraded Reishi wrapped cloak, but for all of your other pieces instead, which is going to be a pretty sizable power gain for all of our characters. It's like 7 item level gain for some of the best mythic pieces out there, which is a lot more stats, primary and secondary, but also more health, so better survivability, and the ability for you to do even more damage when it comes to end game content and progression content. This also includes any of the crafted items, since you'll be able to boost them with an additional augment, kind of very similar to the Enchanted Gilded Ethereal Crest, which can boost an item level to 720, but an additional augment can purchase for 30 more gildeds in order to be able to buff the item level of crafted pieces by 6 extra levels, which is going to be huge power gain as well, and you'll be able to easily just recraft the gear to gain a fairly sizable power spike immediately for all of your best pieces, such as weapons and other items. Now, another piece of content that's getting a pretty nice power spike is going to be the delves. However, Blizzard wasn't really specific whether this is going to be part of the part 1 of the big upgrade for the catch-up of Turbo Boost, or if this is going to be part of the part 2. I'm assuming this is going to be available immediately. However, don't be surprised if the delve updates are going to be delayed until a later time, since they weren't really forefront with us when this is going to be made available, but delves are going to be going through a fairly large revamp. First of all, the delver's journey is going to be receiving a nice buff where your progress towards it once per week will be significantly increased, from bountiful coffers that you loot at the end of a run, nemesis strong boxes that you loot for killing all the nemesis, ethereal enemies within delves, as well as you'll get bonus progression from the end of run delves. So if you're still behind on your delver's journey for the season, you'll be able to get a fairly sizable catch-up as well. You'll also be able to earn more Valor Stones and an increase to the repeatable crest that you can earn from delves. Specifically, we're talking about the Carve Crest and Rune Crest, which are farmable from delve content. Gilded Crest still will have a cap, but hopefully they'll maybe adjust it so that cap can be lifted. So if you want to gear out with full Gilded Crest gear for your characters, you can just maybe spam tier 11 delves until you fully kitted out to the teeth. Tier 9 delves and above will actually now start to drop Champion Track 1 out of 8 Warbound gear. So if you're looking to gear out your ults, you'll be able to start getting gear that you can use for all of your old characters from your main, which is going to be awesome. So a lot of those champion track pieces that you can gain on your main now, there's a good chance you'll start to be able to get them, so you'll also start to use them as well. You will also start to earn untainted mana crystals from opening bountiful delves and from restored coffer keys inside of bountiful delves starting at tier 9 or after reaching rank 3 of the ethereal visit part of the Delver's journey. And you'll be able to trade in those untainted mana crystals for hero track delve trinkets to the Dalaran vendor that visits you at the end of your tier 9 delve run, which is massive, as most of the times if you're looking to get a guaranteed trinket upgrade from delves, you can only get it at champion track. But hero track, with all the item level increases for the turbo boost, will allow you to be able to purchase those items directly, so it's a guaranteed item, but also boost it to the highest level. And a lot of those delve trinkets are generally pretty good for a season for many of the different classes out there. And there's one dagger in particular that actually is very, very good for any classes that are 2 mid classes, and then there's like another passive one that grants agility classes that's on a critical strike. So there's actually quite a decent set of options from delves specifically. However, Turbo Boost is going to be rolling out in 2 parts. Everything we talked about so far, minus maybe the delve stuff, is part 1 of the Turbo Boost. So it's going to be coming out initially with the gear increases and crafting changes, potentially delve stuff, unless it's planned for later. But then there's going to be part 2 that will be launching on October 21st, which is quite some time from the launch of 11.2.5. And it's weird and very unusual how they separated some of the components completely. What's coming out on the 21st later down the line is uncapped crests, which is very unusual because they're granting you the ability to upgrade all of your mythic and hero track items with more crests and more ranks, but they're not uncapping the crest to do that easily until later, which is super weird. And hopefully, at least my opinion, I hope they reconsider that change in the future, because it just seems a little weird to not have those 2 elements come out at the same time. Another thing that will be delayed until 21st is Valisters becoming tradable. You will be able to trade them across your ults and main character and all of your other tunes, but later in October 21st. You also will be able to get a gear vendor. The puzzle and cartel chips from Season 2 are going to be returning in Season 3, though with some ethereal vendors instead. And very similar to the version of vendors we got in Undermine, these are going to be coins that you will be able to use to purchase some of the best raid gear and even dungeon gear, with a bit of a stipulation. You see, these are not going to be items that you'll just be able to walk up to a vendor and purchase. Like if you were thinking, okay, I've been playing Season 3 for a while and I just want to get the best item that I can get for my character. I want to purchase Screams of Forgotten Sky Mythic Track from Dimensius. If you've killed these bosses on normal and heroic, the highest version of any of the raid items you'll be able to purchase is only hero track versions. But to get mythic track pieces for some of these raid bosses, like maybe Dimensius items, or potentially, I'm assuming the boosts from Demon Hunters are going to be on the vendor as well. Maybe you're looking to get the Void Glass Chris on one of your caster characters on mythic track. You must have killed that boss on mythic in order to be eligible for mythic loot from that boss specifically. So these coins are not really there for a gear purchase, but rather bad luck protection. For any players that have already killed these bosses in Mythic, but haven't gotten those items from the drop or from the vault, you'll finally be able to get those bad luck protection items to finalize your character, but that not necessarily used as a coin in order to get gear. Which is unfortunate, but they also have a variation for those for Mythic Pluses as well. Mythic Plus trinkets will be available on the vendors also. Most of them are going to be on Hero Track. To unlock them on Mythic Track, however, you'll need to have completed every single dungeon for the season on at least a +12 difficulty to unlock the capstone for your Mythic Plus keystones. And once you unlock the +12 resilience on all of those keys by completing on a +12 difficulty on time, then you'll be able to purchase Mythic Track trinkets from those vendors, which I actually think getting them +12s of Mythic Plus is probably more reasonable than trying to find a group for Dimensius Mythic or anything like that. So potentially if you're looking to get your character with some of the best of those gear, I think dungeons might be the better route overall. However, I also do agree with a lot in the community that the whole bad luck protection, alright, they did it for Season 2 in Undermine. That makes sense because it technically wasn't the final raid of the season. But, however, this is going to be the final season for War Within. And then towards the tail end of the season, I don't really know why they would put so many restrictions on being able to purchase gear. At the end of the day, I think maybe this should be an opportunity for everybody to finish out the character with some of the best gear available, especially in preparation for Midnight in particular, since you'll need to take time to farm up all of these puzzling cartel coins before you can even purchase the items anyway. Maybe they will reconsider it, but for the time being, they're looking at it as a bad luck protection mechanic more than anything. Now, another component that will be coming out also on October 21st is actually void splinters to fuel the catalyst. Normally, and this isn't really anything that's like, presented to you through a currency system or anything like that, but the catalyst has charges that it spends in order to be able to catalyze your items into tier set equivalent pieces. With some of the items like helms, leg slots, gloves, you can actually create tier set items. So this is for the last season tier set, so it doesn't cost me any currency, but normally it does. You'll actually start to unlock void splinters, which is a currency used to fuel the catalyst that you'll be able to obtain as charges from dungeons, raids, delves, and PvP, which basically means there won't really be a real cap from what we can tell on the catalyst, so you could catalyze as many items as you want to, especially as you get better upgrades, so you can get your tier set really quickly. This also will be amazing for any players that are not really endgame oriented, but love themselves some good new transmogs. So if you're someone who's trying to finish out the rest of your mogs for the season, like let's say you want the full heroic set, and potentially even the normal set, and even the LFR set, getting veteran track, champion track, and hero track pieces, then catalyzing all of them to finishing out your tier set for this season is going to be a lot easier with this set of changes, which seems like a really good addition overall. Whether you're looking for some endgame finish out, whether you're looking to finish out your endgame tier sets, or potentially just finish out some of the transmogs for the rest of the season. But with that being said, as always, I do want to thank all of you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did enjoy it or found it informative, go ahead and give it a like, as I would very much appreciate it. Be sure to join our Discord community, especially if you want to keep up with any new content and guides and updates, which she'll be posting about there pretty regularly. Also, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and as always, I'll see all of you guys in our next one.